Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Sunday, March 12th, 2023, and today the federal government shut down New York's Signature Bank because it was in the same position reportedly as Silicon Valley Bank and similar to Silvergate Bank, where it was too heavily invested in the world of crypto. And again, this past week, just before these bank collapses occurred, Jerome Powell talked about the need to centralize crypto because it could be a domino that tilts into the world of centralized banking. So shortly after he addressed Congress, here we are. And notice all the banks that have failed. There's a pattern, isn't there? Silvergate, Silicon, Signature. Why do all these banks start with an S? We'll get to that. And we'll also get to the meaning of this headline right here. Solar firms Sunnova and Sunrun shed light on exposure to Silicon Valley Bank in regards to its collapse. But again, if you guys are new here, since January 2nd, 2023, if you can remember what happened on January 2nd, I'll give you a clue. It was a Monday. Everyone was tuned into the big football game. Arguably the biggest game of the season, and then shortly into it in the first quarter, number 3 of the Bills collapsed. And like I told you that day, that was a ritual, and it was foreshadowing the first financial quarter in the third month that Damar Hamlin's born in, March 24th, that there'd be some shenanigans just like this, because there has to be shenanigans for them to get us to where they want us to be on the all-digital currency, So, we talked about how Damar Hamlin was born on March 24th, like Chuck Hughes, who also collapsed on the football field, and how being born on March 24th, the 83rd day of the year, fit in with a football-related collapse. And now we've witnessed Silvergate collapse on 8/3. We've watched Silicon Valley Bank collapse 83 days after the Pope's birthday. Now we've watched Signature Bank collapse, and guess what the gematria of Signature Bank is? Yeah, you guessed it, 83. And keep in mind, like we said, tomorrow will be the 83rd day of the winter season. That's Monday, which will also be Old Dominion, the university's birthday. And that's interesting because right after Damar Hamlin collapsed, number 3 for Old Dominion, who also had a March 24th birthday, he collapsed on the basketball court. And here we are with March Madness, but I think things are going to get a lot more mad than just on the basketball tournament. So anyhow, 83's been the number we've been so focused on, and just like I've been saying, all year, here we are, and now it's just unfolding day by day. Ritualistically, if you're new here, the practice of coding numbers into words, Gematria, comes from Jewish mysticism Kabbalah. It's a very simple code. The most simple cipher is ABC is 1, 2, 3, up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. It's also about running the alphabetic order in reverse and running it both ways with numerology. There's 4 base ciphers. You learn these ciphers. You see through the rituals. Don't forget Silicon Valley Bank was established in 83. 1983, born on October 17th. And again, with regards to tomorrow being the 83rd day of winter, and a day where we will likely see more similar headlines for more smaller banks that are positioned in a similar way, and JP Morgan will probably come in and eat them up like it did in the last banking crisis. Notice JP Morgan, their stock was up on Friday when the rest of the banks were falling minus Wells Fargo. Bank of America didn't do too bad either, but essentially that's what happens. Every time there's a big orchestrated disaster, the big fish get even bigger. The small fish disappear. Less options for the consumer. All part of the big federal fascist agenda. And again, don't forget J.P. Morgan. He was the guy that knew to get off the Titanic, right? Futility, Wreck of the Titan, a book written a decade before the Titanic sank. I'm sure J.P. Morgan had read it. The Titan sails from Europe to America, and on its first sail hits an iceberg and sink the unsinkable boat named Titan, only for the same thing to happen a decade later to a boat named the Titanic. Again, if you don't know that story, look into it. J.P. Morgan got off the boat. The 3 men that stayed on the boat, 3 of the world's richest men who were all fighting the Federal Reserve, they died. How didn't they get on a lifeboat? You think the 3 of the world's richest men would have been one of the first ones to get off the lifeboat. Don't be surprised if they were murdered on the boat before it even hit the iceberg. Anyway, collapse 83 when you run it in reverse, 133. Tomorrow's 13/3, kind of like how Silvergate went down on 8/3. And again, what we've been pointing out with Damar Hamlin, born on March 24th, day the Dow fell apart 23 years ago. And of course, the NASDAQ fell apart on March 10th. The big tech stock sector fell apart on March 10th, 23 years earlier. Market equals 23. 83 is the 23rd prime. All of these things happening 23 years to the day. But notice how collapse and football are the exact same in all 4 ciphers. And again, we made this crystal clear the night it happened, that it was a ritual foreshadowing something with banking and dollars and bills. And again, rigged sports, rigged news, rigged rituals, 9/11 Patriot Act, Patriots become the greatest team in NFL history. Again, it's so transparent if you have a brain. And it's amazing, I was in 2 people's live streams today that were responding to their comments, and I left the comment in both. One, what do you think about the big tech bank going down on the anniversary of the dot-com bubble bursting? And both guys read the comments and both said, oh, just stuff like that's a coincidence. Again, you guys, those of you who get this work, you're in a very small minority that can actually see what's going on. Almost everybody else is under a magical spell and just thinks everything else is a coincidence. They're the same people that were totally fooled by Damar Hamlin and go, oh, no way could they rig a football game. Okay. Again, I'll remind you who's doing the rigging all here in a second. And headlines like this are telling you if you have the eyes to see. Again, there was a group established May 1st, 1776, right before the American Revolution, right before the French Revolution. And guess what day that this bank was established in history? Signature Bank. Yeah, also on May 1st. Also on May Day. The rituals unfold. But anyway, Damar Hamlin, Signature Bank's founder, De Palo. Not sure how to say it. But anyhow, with regards to all the S's, you guys, keep in mind we are right at the 3-year anniversary of the COVID-19 pandemic being declared by the World Health Organization out there in Switzerland, where all the big banks are. And again, the reason they've continued to call it COVID-19 through 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, despite there being new strains, is because of the symbolism of 19, just like how there were 19 supposed hijackers on 9/11. Again, 19. S is the 19th letter. Silvergate, Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank. This article from Reuters, solar firms Sonova and Sunrun. Again, S, the 19th letter, coils up like a snake, like a serpent. But the chaos code. Order out of chaos is the motto of the controllers. Chaos 19. They introduce the chaos by their planned rituals, and then they bring about their solutions, which give them more power and control over humanity. And that's what this is really all about. And it's also why, before 2020 came around, for years, I was harping on about how if people did not wake up, there'd be a major ritual in 2020 to further take control over this world. And it ended up being COVID-19, 19 years after 9/11 and the 19 hijackers. And 19 years before 9/11 was the war on was the war on drugs, which took more control over humanity. Put a lot of people at darker complexions in prison cells where they're slave labor for corporations. 19 years before that. Again, you guys, every 19 years. 1963, the war on courage, blown off JFK's head. 19 years before that, the majority of troops deployed to World War II, from the U.S., that is. Again, 1982, 19 years after JFK, war on drugs. 19 years after that, the war on terror. 19 years after that, the war on germs. Just wait till 2039 comes around. Of course, they do stuff in between, but the 19-year cycles are in line with the moon, which is illuminated by the sun, and the moon is on a 19-year cycle. Every 19 years, it's in the same place in the sky. This one comes right after the worm moon. We just had the worm moon, the full moon of March, right before all this unfolded. So, just to remind us some other patterns, for people who've missed the prior videos, The bank collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, which got more attention than Silvergate the day before. Realize that Silicon Valley Bank, on the day that Silvergate was going under, they were, doing all these things to getting rid of assets and giving other people purchase options. It was a big red flag for what was about to go down the next day. But anyhow, the bank started to collapse on 3/9, and then it fully collapsed the next day on March 10th. Notice how bank collapses 39. Silicon Valley Bank was 39 years old again. They stopped trading on its share on March 10th at $39.27 a share. And the full collapse happened on the anniversary of the NASDAQ falling apart 23 years earlier, where it went down 39% that year. Notice the second biggest bank collapse in history on the 10th of March. And if you run the alphabetic order in reverse, instead of bank collapse being 39, it's 69. Silicon Valley Bank is 69, and the bank fully collapsed on the 69th day of the year, March 10th. 31 days in January, 28 in February, that's 59 days. 10 days into March, that puts you at 69. Bank collapse, Silicon Valley Bank. Again, Gematria forwards and backwards. The reason we know that these are the true ciphers is because we've been documenting it for going on a decade now and proving our point day by day, accurately forecasting the future before it happens. And again, who's doing this? Again, there's only one person not one person, but one group of people that are powerful enough to do this. The same people that we tell time by. The Catholic Church gave us the calendar we're on. The Catholic Church is credited with the English language. In the 16th century, the calendar, the language, it all became as we know it today. And the rituals have been unfolding ever since as the Catholic Church has gained more and more control over the world. Back then, they governed Europe. Since then, they govern a lot more than that. Thus, all the Roman architecture, for example, in this nation. And again, notice how this happened 144 days after the anniversary of the bank's opening, October 17th, 83. But 144 days, big number with the Jesuits and their ongoing rituals that we're talking about all the time. Not to mention the word Jesuits is 103, like how the date can be written 10/3. And again, just to go back to 2000. The bubble burst for the NASDAQ March 10th, 2000. And then the Dow went down on March 24th, the 83rd day of the year. But notice it's 23 years later, right? Market 23. And here was the headline on March 23rd, the day before the Dow went down. 23 of the Dow's 30 stocks rose, pushing the blue chip index up to 253.16 points, or 2.3%. And they said that's the first close above 11,000 since February 3rd, 23. All that 23. Again, it's always been number rituals. It's always been controlled by the same people. And again, 83, the 23rd prime, March 24th, the 80. Well, you know what? 2000 was a leap year, so March 23rd was the 83rd day of the year, the 23rd prime, the day of all this 23. It's funny how from sports to the market to news, you just learn the code, you see how it's all contrived day after day. But again, it also took 135 weeks for it to begin to rally. And Stock Exchange and Wall Street are 135, and so is Central Intelligence Agency, which is also 243, like the date March 24th. It's also 117, like Buffalo Bills, like how Damar Hamlin's fake collapse with the fake ambulance out on the field was on the 117th day of the NFL season. Again, the Jesuits created the Illuminati May 1st, 1776. Adam Weishaupt, the Jesuit, the founder, founded in Bavaria. The Jesuits, the Illuminati, what illuminates the world? The sun. Look at this story right here. The 3003 is a whole nother subject, but solar firms Sonova, and guess what Sonova equals? 83. Solar firms Sonova and Sunrun shed light on exposure to Silicon Valley Bank. Coming back to this all happening on the 69th day of the year, Illuminati equals 69, New World Order equals 69, the Jesuit Order equals 69. All 69. And I feel bad for all the people who will watch this video and think it's all just a coincidence. I mean, it truly is pathetic, the mind state that so many people are in, to think this stuff's coincidence day after day when we call it out before it happens. But it's because of people's ego. They just can't admit that they're wrong. They can't admit that somebody else knows something that they didn't know already. And it's why the world is where it is. And understand, the Illuminati, the Jesuits, the people who run this world, these religions, I mean, they're masters of human psychology, right? They know if you control people from a young age, if you fill their minds full of fear, propaganda, you'll own them for life. And that's where the average person is. It was those of us who were getting in trouble in grade school and spending a lot of time in the corner in the principal's office. We also tend to be the ones that can see through the game because we were never fooled by it. We were questioning it from day one. But yeah, the proof continues to mount. Not that we needed any more proof. I'm 10 years into proving my point every single day like nobody's business. So that doesn't mean go out and panic, you guys. It doesn't mean go out and sell all your stocks. If you've lost money in the stock market, you don't want to sell. You don't sell until it comes back up. And again, it could be down for a period of time. We are going through some lengthy transitions, I should say. But again, take care of yourself. If you went out and became a guinea pig for Pfizer, you really better want to take care of yourself. But most of us will be around. We'll get to see this whole ugly show go on. But at the end of it, things will return and go back up as they tend to do. But yeah, this isn't a reason to go out and panic. It's not a reason to go out and unload all your money from the bank. If you're in one of the major banks, which most people are, those banks aren't going down. They'll just be buying up these smaller banks and getting even bigger and more powerful and charging you even more interest and paying out even less interest. Again, that's the game that's going on. And again, as long as you don't have more than $250,000 in the bank, you're FDIC insured, so your deposit is safe. But yeah, I'm not putting this out to cause panic or fear. I'm putting this out like I always do for knowledge and awareness and so that people can understand the game and who's playing the game and why it unfolds the way it does. From rig sports to rig news to rig bank collapses. Again, people need to pull their head out of their ass. The news on 10-3. The former Chief is dead, and he was drafted by both the Chiefs and the Eagles, and he's dead on 10/3 is the news. When it was the 103rd NFL season that concluded between the Chiefs and Eagles. Again, all of this stuff, if anyone's just paying attention, is so transparent. And it's a reminder, the Illuminati, part of their big plan was to infiltrate Freemasonry. What's etched on the Masonic temple in the nation's headquarters? All is number. All is number. That's why this stuff's not a coincidence every day. What is Masonry? It has a nickname. It's known as Judaism for the Gentile. Why is that the nickname? Because it's based in the Old Testament, where the fourth book of the Bible is called Numbers. How many books are in the Old Testament? Is there 39? Is there 39 and 10 commandments? Weren't we just talking a lot about how big 39 was on all this? Again, if you look into the Jesuits, they were a Catholic-Jewish alliance that were brought about by the Protestant Reformation because it was targeting those two religions. Martin Luther, who led that Reformation, said that, as long as these religions exist, we will forever essentially be their slaves. We will be their, what is the word for it? Yeah, slaves. Again, Martin Luther was unhappy about the way the Catholic Church was exploiting it, the people under its thumb, and also upset about, the way the bankers took advantage of the people. You think anything's really changed? These people are operating by the same Kabbalistic code that goes all the way back to Babylon. And that's also why in our slave school training, they teach us to forget about all the old world stuff. Oh, that's us all old world superstition. That's all old world nonsense. Nobody even questions why they're still calling it C19 in 2023 after all the variants. We know why. We knew why it was coming before it even came. Just like how we knew March was going to get frisky. So, anyhow, we'll leave it there. I got to make some dinner over here. It's funny, I was just about to make dinner, and then I saw this headline. I was like, hold on, this has to be out there. So, shout out to Nathan. Nathan chipped in $5. I appreciate it, Nathan. Thank you very much again, friend. Appreciate all the generosity. And thank you, everyone who hits the like and the share and spreads the word. So it's dinner time over here, Truth Seeker. Till next time.